welcome to Distillery TV. We're joined by a very special guest, Roy, who is the current club president of Distillery FC and a lifelong supporter who's been following the Whites since the late 1940s. Roy has witnessed some of the greatest moments in the club's history, from league titles and cup victories to famous European nights. Roy, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
First question, Roy, you've been supporting Distillery since the late 1940s. Can you take us back to the very beginning and how did your love for the club start?
Well, it was through my grandfather who worked at the LMS Railways, and he was an avid supporter, and it was the Ormo Whites Supporters Club. And I remember going with them down to grounds like Newton Ards and other grounds on a Saturday for the away games.
Since the 1940s, football's changed a lot. What was it like attending matches back then?
Attending matches?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the crowds for a start. I mean, when my granda said, be there for 2:30 outside the ground, I got in his season ticket, so maybe I owe the club quite a bit of money. But my father was a professional musician, and when he came home, I would have gone to the matches that he could attend, and and there's a camaraderie within the group. You got to know everybody, and even you got to know the other teams, individuals, who were the good players, the bad players, and so forth. And so that was an expectation that the Whites was going to win. But the standard of play then was totally changed to what it is now. There was a flexibility. I mean, I was brought up in Donegal Road area of Belfast, and we used to play football with tennis balls, if we can manage. And when you're bouncing a ball off a wall or off a footpath, you develop skills. And within the area where I live, there must have been a dozen or so footballers who played for local clubs, and a lot of the technique they would have had in playing was amazing. Whereas now they have to flow the ball basically man to man, and then it was a situation where you got to know even the supporters of other clubs, and a bit of banter that went on. Yeah.
You've supported Distillery through many different eras. What keeps bringing you back to support the club?
Well, if I could say, it was the camaraderie, and even supporters with other teams had a soft spot for Distillery, and one of the things that emanated was floodlight football, and that would have been against Burnley. And Jimmy McElroy, who was an Irish international footballer, he was playing for Burnley at the time. And so that was it. The only thing was, it was a muddy night, and the number of times that they had to stop to clean the ball, literally, I mean, I had more than one, but they had to do that. Because one of the issues was at Christmas time they turned the ground over for a circus, would you believe? And of course, between then and the end of April, it was like no grass. You know. But it was, and as I say, although there was banter going around, there was never any physical or over-verbal contributions, from the crowd. But as I say, it was just a delight. And of course, for a lot of people, that was the only entertainment they had, and their club was very social. And they used to, as I said earlier, they used to come down from Shankill Road all over if the Whites were playing, and their team was away because the Whites had that attraction. Yeah.
And then, how important do you think loyal supporters are to a club like Distillery?
I think it's vital. I don't go on the basis if the team's not winning, you don't go to support them. I think that's when they need the greatest support. And I think this is sometimes supporters get annoyed and exasperated when they're not playing well, the results may not always be what you'd want, but certainly once a supporter, always a supporter, because it affects the players. If they see a depreciation in the number, they're going to say, and it's a burden on them if they're truly associated with the club, wanting only the best for them, So I would just say to any supporter, keep coming. The Whites have been up and down over the years through difficulties of all aspects, but I think you need to keep supporting your team and make sure that if you can, keep going and bringing other people in if you can. Well, the best game was 1963, and see that. That's my dad and I coming down through the stand at the back. And it wasn't, strangely enough, I switched on the video of it, and I'd forgotten that Distillery scored against Linfield in the first minute, which had bypassed me, But no, the 63 game, and my favourite player was Bertie McMinn. Others had certain talents, but Bertie was an entertainer, and especially when they're playing Linfield, and he'd been a Shankill Road man, he turned it on, and he used to jiggly pokery with them, as it were, and they were bantering him, and but with some wonderful players, and that was a delight to come to watch them in. But I do hope, as far as our supporters are concerned, that they will keep coming and hopefully invite family to join them, and I think they'll come and enjoy the game. I think that the issue was in 1969 was, it was such an overriding factor on Distillery's decline, because obviously what happened then, they literally removed pillar to post, and that had a factor with them, and we lost a lot of supporters who couldn't put up with that. But hopefully the day will come when we'll possibly get into the next league, or even beyond that. But that could be a few years down the line. And I think if the players put in the effort, and we have a steady manager now who can, I feel, improve the performances. I think he's got a good policy on how he wants them to play. But to the players, I would say, technically, the era that I was brought up in, the technique was so good, and I go back to the Donegal Road, kicking off footpaths and all that sort of thing, that they had that technique to deal with anything, and The only thing was, it was the number of windows that were broken in Ebor Street. And that would have been contrary to what we would have wanted, you know. But it was a privilege, basically, to come to watch them, and especially with my grandfather and my dad. We used to make sure we were there at home and away, and that was always a great deal of support when we were playing away.
Yeah. And then finally, Roy, what is there a message you'd like to give to younger generation of fans of this club?
Yes. As I've just said, keep coming, keep supporting, and hopefully we can not necessarily climb the Premier League again, as it were, but that we have a team that we can support.
Roy, thank you for sharing these wonderful memories with us. It's supporters like Roy who are part of the heart and history of Distillery FC. From everyone here at Distillery TV, thanks for watching.